What does it mean to do deep inner work? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What's the experience? Well, you might hear a lot of people say, this is a me era where I'm focusing on me. But that doesn't mean people are necessarily moving forward. That doesn't mean people are doing inner work or working on their inner game. You might even hear people say, I'm going to therapy. That doesn't mean they're working on their inner game. You might even hear people say, I am taking my meds, which doesn't mean people are doing deep inner work or doing that deep work that they need to do in order to go from the 1.0 version of them to the 2.0 version of them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking therapy, I'm not knocking a me era. I'm simply saying that some of the things that people think are deep inner work really aren't. And we're going to get into it in this video, what it's like, what's required, and what you're going to notice when you do start doing some of that deep inner work. But hey there, I'm Dan Candell. I'm known worldwide as the Anxiety Relief Guy. If you are new to me, welcome to the conversation. Great to have you here. If you're not new to me, welcome back to the conversation. And a lot of the work that I'm doing with people, specifically now, is deep inner work. And it's for a lot of people who realize that their past experiences dictate the decisions they make today. And they have certain patterns that keep running their life. Some of the patterns might be good. Some of the patterns aren't so good. But here's an experience of somebody that was in my group recently, and I did a couple of private sessions with this person as well. This is what they told me a couple of weeks ago in our last session. She said, Dan, I can't believe it. I was so proud of myself last week. I said, tell me what happened. She said, well, my husband and I, we weren't even in a debate. We were just having a discussion. And she said, I'm having a little bit of a challenging time at work. I'm dealing with some family issues on my mom's side of my family. And she said, I'm just like, I'm kind of in this phase where I have a lot going on and I need to compartmentalize it. And I said, all right, so what are you proud of? What happened? She said, well, I'm having this discussion with my husband. And she said, usually I would turn it into this full-blown argument by saying something ridiculous or over-exaggerating something. I said, what was the thing that you were going to say that you caught yourself from saying? Because she said she caught herself or stopped herself from saying something that she would normally say. So what was it? She said, I almost told my husband, oh, this marriage is like 95% a disagreement or 95% a miscommunication because he didn't load the dishwasher the way she wanted him to load the dishwasher. I'm like, and that, of course, would have caused a whole lot of conflict, and it wouldn't have been about the way he loaded the dishwasher. It would have been about all the other stuff that she was going through, and she just chose him as an outlet to release that agitation and blow her fuse on him. Now, the good news is she didn't do this. A couple of days later, she was still going through a really difficult time. She said she got a couple of emails that really triggered her. And she said, because the work that we've been doing, so it didn't stress me out as much. She said, but they were still like emails that I had to respond to, but not right away. She's like, so it was just like, it was stirring up some stuff for me. And she said, so when I went home, I explained to my husband, I just want you to know, if I'm a little quiet, I've had a low tank day today. And she said, I just don't want to repeat those patterns where I say something stupid or I say something that's not true. So these were great patterns that she was interrupting, and she interrupted the patterns by doing that deep inner work. So the stress, the trauma, and the drama of life stopped affecting her and her marriage in those negative ways. And guess what happened? Her husband sat next to her and said, I am so sorry that you're going through something. And he said, I really wish I could take the weight off of you. And he said, and they had this beautiful conversation. She started crying in my chair across from me. And she said, Dan, we've never had a conversation like that. And she said, it was just this deep conversation that I always wanted somebody to have with me, but no one had. And the reason why he was able to have that conversation with her is because she did the deep inner work with herself. And the awesome thing is, it didn't involve years of therapy. And again, I'm not knocking therapy. I love therapy. But for this person, it just wasn't the right path. She wasn't relying on mind-altering medications. She wasn't self-medicating, pounding down shots or smoking up every every time she got stressed out. She was willing to do the deep inner work. So you might be wondering, okay, so what is this deep inner work? Like, what do you do? So I just want to break down some of the things that I do with people in my inner circle. And people who are in my circle, they're usually in my collective, which is my group program that I have. And then as part of the group program, they do get some individual time. They get my WhatsApp as well. So here are some of the deep inner work that I'm referring to. Number one is we do a lot of inner child work, where hypnotically we actually go back to times that the person acquired certain belief systems, and we rewrite those old belief systems and replace them with new empowering belief systems that push them forward instead of holding them back. One of the other processes that we do a lot of forgiveness work, because forgiveness is a way of letting go. And a big part of the whole process of my collective is letting go, so that way we can neutralize the influence that any negative event, any negative idea, or any thought or belief system has over a person, and we replace that with their powerful truth. So, for example, this woman that I was working with, she was huge into creating chaos and conflict by trying to avoid it in other areas of her life. She would create more chaos and conflict in her marriage, in her family, with her kids, with her husband, and with the people she cared the most about. Because she wasn't compartmentalizing all this, and she learned when she was younger to be avoidant with the people you shouldn't be avoidant with, and to have conflict with the people that you care most about. That is an insane belief system, isn't it? But it's one that so many of us have. What is some other deep inner work that we do? Well, I mentioned we do a lot of inner child work. We do a lot of healing the past. We do a lot of forgiveness work, a lot about letting go. There's a strategy that I use. It's a variation of what we call a library technique or gray room strategy. And a lot of hypnotists, a lot of therapists may know about this. And it's just a really great way to clear out all the junk that's holding you back. Some more deep inner work that we do. We also do some shadow work, some shadow integration work. We do some acceptance commitment work. And then I'm teaching every single person in my collective to embrace what I call the core four. And the core four, and I talk about this all the time, radical proactive acceptance, trust, patience, and letting go. And it's not just letting go of the past. It's letting go of pressure, demands, musts, shoulds, and also letting go of resentment, letting go of anger, letting go of fear, letting go of anxiety, letting go of shame, letting go of stress, so the things that used to bother you don't have to bother you as much anymore. This is what deep inner work is. So if you join a program, and I'd love for you to join my program, but you don't have to. But if you do join a program and people say, oh, we help you do deep inner work, question that. And before you join anyone's program, look for a video like this that kind of breaks down some of the things that they do. Now, you might say, oh, Dan, I've done deep inner child work and I've done inner child healing before. I've placed my hand over my heart. I've connected with my inner child. And I said, you've got this. I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'm here for you. That's not the deep inner work that I'm talking about. When you match it with nervous system stimulation and different hypnotic techniques, it supercharges the effects of inner child healing. It supercharges the effects of forgiveness, of letting go, and it helps you on this deep inner subconscious and nervous system level. People say, well, what if I've done hypnosis before and it didn't work? I do hypnosis differently. I'm combining so many different modalities and so many different effects of different branches of healing that I take a deep integrated approach. What are some more areas of deep inner work that we do? Well, we do what we call deep discovery. And deep discovery is working with a person on an identity level and also on a values level. So many of us, we don't even realize what our values are. So we're constantly living out of whack or out of congruency with what's really important to us. No wonder why we have so much conflict. No wonder why we have so much inner turmoil or stress. We also do a lot of identity work. So that way, deep inner work is about shedding that old belief system or like shedding that old identity and becoming the person you need to be to do what you want to do and to have what you want to have. And all of this, by the way, what it helps you do, it helps you go from the have to phase of life. This is the reason why so many of my clients are so like stressed and depressed and they're just out of their minds, because they go from the have to phase of life. They're stuck in the have to phase of life. But deep inner work can help you go from the have to phase into the choose to phase, where things are more in your control, where you have choices about how you're going to respond and behave, which is going to change other people's responses to you. Remember the client I just told you about? Guess what? The reason why her husband was able to sit down with her and say, I'm so sorry that you're going through this, and I want to be here for you to help. I don't always know how to help, but I'm here to support you in any way I can. We're going to figure this out. We're going to make it through it. For once in her life, she felt heard. But it wasn't because he changed. It's because she changed. And his responses changed because of the changes that she made. If I say change one more time, let's turn this into a drinking game. Shot. So people, in essence, will adjust their behaviors when you adjust yours. And that's how this works. So we move out of the have to phase into the choose to phase, where we're making better choices. And then we move into the get to phase. And when we're in the get to phase, things just work. Things are simpler. Things are easier. Things are more pleasant, more enjoyable, where we're not blowing things out of proportion, making mountains out of molehills anymore. The reason why so many people don't do the deep inner work that they need to know or that they need to do is they just don't know. And I find too many people have been misinformed, or dare I say conned. Conned by a broken system that has told them, oh, you have to go to years of therapy and you have to take mind-altering medications and you have to meditate an hour and a half a day and you have to go to these retreats and you have to... We've been brainwashed to believe that these changes take a long time. Now, guess what? I'm going to go against a little bit of something I just said. These changes, they don't have to take a long time. In fact, most of my clients notice them pretty rapidly, where they're standing up for themselves more, they're speaking their truth, they're holding their own no matter how difficult or trying things get. But here's the thing, though. There are some people, I'd say about 15, maybe 20 people, who have been in my program, my group program, consistently for over 3 years. And you know why? Because they keep using the principles, and every week they come in with new stuff. Because every week we're like these massive emotional trash compactors. So every week they're coming in to unload more of that mental trash, more of that mental garbage, that emotional garbage. And it works so that way every week they are making more adjustments to themselves to become even better. You know why? Because we're never going to be perfect. But what we can be is perfectly imperfect. And we can embrace that and accept it. And we can always realize that there's always something we can get better at and something we can improve upon. So yes, even though I repeat the process every like 12 or 15 weeks or so, people repeat the process with new stuff. And they're constantly evolving. They're constantly becoming new people. This is what deep inner work means. It means working your subconscious mind, working your nervous system, your identity, your belief systems, and upgrading all of that so that way you're not trying to run your life the same way you did when you were younger. You're not trying to run your life the same way your parents wanted you to or your culture wanted you to. And I see this and I hear this all the time. with certain cultural beliefs. People are like, oh, I'm this way because I grew up in this culture, or I'm this way because I grew up in this type of household. Okay. What if I told you, though, that's just an excuse, and those are somebody else's belief systems, somebody else's normal that was put onto you? What if I told you that? You know? So these are things to think about. I just want you to think about these things and be careful when people are telling you, "Oh, I'm doing some deep inner work," or people are telling you, "My program is all about doing like working on that deep inner part of yourself." Is it really? Is it really? Because what I'm sharing with you, this is the true definition of deep inner work. And yeah, there are a lot of people out there that help you with this, but there are a lot of people out there that think they're doing it and they're really not. So with that said, my friends, I would absolutely let me know first. Let me know if you liked this video. This might poke some buttons for people, which is totally fine. Let me know in the comments if you liked this video, if it makes sense to you. Also, let me know some things that you might want to work on. What are some things that you might want or need to work on? And why haven't you worked on it yet? Why haven't you started working on it yet? If you would like to do some deep inner work and you would like to be one of those many success stories that I have, there's going to be a video that's linked somewhere over here. You can watch that video, and then there's a way where you can actually apply to be in my collective and be in my program. There's also some details that I have coming up where I'm going to be doing a 3 days of transformation online event, and it's 3 days of transformation. That's coming up in late June of 2025. Details are below this video. With that said, my friends, it's a great pleasure bringing this insight to you. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.